Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of TechPixes and the host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And I am very excited because we've obviously just done the social media trends, and it was amazing to talk to all of our social media coaches about the trends in 2022. So if you haven't grabbed those, definitely go and check that out. We have a link to the social media trends on our free resources page, techpixes.com/free resources. Now I'm leaning into talking to some of our alumni who have gone on to create social media agencies. And we're going to talk about that. I mean, we've also had some amazing interviews as well with alumni who are rocking it on social media. So that's really something that we're focusing on this year with the podcast, is sharing some really great success stories within the social media space. So today I have a lovely guest, Maria Collins. Hello, Maria.
Hi, morning, Joy. Thank you for having me.
And Maria runs Social Media Maria, and she is doing some amazing work. So we're going to talk to her about her incredible journey from where she was to where she is now, and how she's even bringing on new clients from the TechPixie community. So Maria, tell us, you have a history of living all over the world. I have a history of living all over the world. So I think part of being a world traveler is you are a bit more risk adverse. You are a bit more adventurous. Let's talk about this adventure of getting into social media agency work, social media service provision, etc. How did you get started, and what does it look like now?
Yeah, so I did. Yeah, so I had an early, really interesting childhood, especially now when travel is so restricted. And we traveled a lot all over the world as kids with my dad's job. And I think it does give you a real sort of thirst for working with different people and being, able to sort of, I guess, kind of work a bit, on the hoof and kind of, and also understanding different customers, different people. But when I first started work, I worked in London, very traditional corporate marketing. So I worked for Reuters, Nationwide Mortgages, so really traditional marketing. And at that point, we were not doing social media. We were creating brochures, but it was a great start, because it gave me a real understanding for the basis of strategy and understanding your customer and all of those great things that you really need to know. And I then so I worked in London for many years, and then when we had kids, we moved out towards Cambridge. And Cambridge is a fantastic place, but it's not a hub for financial services. So amazing for tech and science and all of these things. But I actually really struggled to get a job out here, because my skill set was so different. And if you didn't have a PhD in science, then even if you were a product marketing person, you needed that technical side. So I actually started volunteering instead for a local charity, Tom's Trust, who support children with brain tumours. And it was that gave me my first taste of social media, actually coming in a different way and thinking, I'm going to have to learn some new skills here and kind of adapt, because the kind of, I'm not in the city anymore. And I'm also not, I didn't grow up with social media, probably many of the tech pixies. I think the gap in our knowledge is that we didn't grow up, on our smartphones like all of our kids do nowadays. So that really gave me my first taste for social media. And then I worked for another charity who supported children's mental health issues. And that was my first paid social media job. And that was, I was paid by the hour to do a certain number of posts per week. But I was still teaching myself. I was learning on the job, and I was doing a great job, I'm sure, but I hadn't trained in social media. And then we came into lockdown, and suddenly my husband was no longer commuting, and we were all at home. And a current tech pixie, or another alumni, actually told me about the Techpixes course. And I think I spoke to you on the Friday, and you were like, it starts on Monday. And I called you on your phone and you were walking. And I was like, well, I'm thinking about this. And you were like, well, it starts on Monday. And I don't know why. I just, because it's a big commitment, isn't it? And I just was like, okay, see you on Monday. And I joined the TechPixie course, which was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, that's so, I love those memories of the phone calls and, like I was walking and I was in the car. I mean, I've had so many conversations like that.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is, when you know. And actually, very often I can tell from a conversation with a student whether or not they're gonna thrive. In fact, we've just made a big change to the program, which is, once you're in, and we're not, there's no trial period anymore. You're either going to take this seriously or you're not. And we know that if you're not going to take it seriously, it's not right for you. But we know that if you are going to show up, you're going to do the work, and which you did. You showed up, you did the work, you get the results, and you got the results. So let's talk about that, because you were volunteering, but then by getting your CPD certification and getting upskilled, you thought, well, I'm not going to do this for free anymore.
Yeah.
So tell us about that transition from volunteering to getting your first paid client. And now you have multiple paying clients. So let's talk about that as well.
So I think when I did the course, because obviously you can do the course in your own time, which is fantastic. So if you've got kind of existing business or children or anything, you could do the course in your own time. But I really wanted to just do the course in one go and start working. So I think we started in around May, and by the summer I'd finished and done my CPD. And the great part about the course is that by the end, I didn't even realize this, but by the end of the course, you already have your own profile, because the coursework we set up, I set up a profile as I went along. So by the time I'd finished, I was like, oh, I think I have a business here. And actually, one of the first things I did, and I really think this would be a top tip, is I made sure that I got to know my local community. So all the small businesses. So as I was because your initial post, you haven't got anything particularly to post about in a way. So I kind of got to know my local businesses and the guys in the market and sort of small local entrepreneurs. But the brilliant thing is that they then started supporting me. I then started supporting them, and actually that kind of gave me a bit of momentum, I think. And as a result, a local company noticed me. So by the October, I had my first client, which was an amazing omega-3 brand. They're Norwegian, but they I'm near Saffron Walden. They're actually their offices are in Saffron Walden, and they had taken me on quite a lower salary, just to do 3 posts a week. And there was a great start actually, because they had some lovely professional photographs already. So it kind of eased me in, but a lovely company to kind of get my teeth stuck into, really.
And at that point, you were presumably working on, cost per post or cost per hour. Is that what you were?
Yeah.
Your contract was set up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you then transition to multiple clients and then moving from a cost per post or cost per hour to a values-based contract?
It can be quite scary kind of working out your pricing, because you don't actually know, in a way, you don't know like how long it is going to take you. But equally, you also, you're not necessarily pricing just on the hours, but also your experience and your knowledge and really, in a way, also social media, you never stops. Like I'm always thinking about my clients. I'm always engaging or doing something. So what I started doing is I actually started doing a proposal with a sort of an idea about what it would include each month, so that and also I always kind of spoke to the client up front about what they're providing me. So I think it's really important to have those early conversations, like what assets are you going to give to me? Am I writing the copy? Am I, some clients, for example, will just let you do off you go. And some you might have a weekly meeting, or so I think it's really good to sort of ask all those questions up front and really get to know what are their expectations, what are they looking to achieve, and kind of work all of that out.
Yeah, I want to pause you there because that is so important, because you just mentioned some really key things. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're looking to get into social media management, or running an agency, etc., these are really important questions to ask, because if they don't provide content, either copy or images, that's extra work, right? You've got to create the images, you've got to create the copy. And that, I find, is one of the biggest time sucks, if you will, for a social media manager, if they have to chase copy and images. And, I just found when I was a social media manager managing multiple clients, it was so much easier for me to just create all of that stuff. I mean, rather than wait for it. But sometimes you go into an organization where they've got a comms manager and they've got a brand manager, and you're working alongside the comms manager and the brand manager, which is how we have it set up at TechPixes now. Obviously, that was not how we started, but now we have someone who can create the images, who can edit the videos, and we've got someone who can write the copy. And basically, then we just need someone to get that content out, right? And that's sort of what we've done. So it's really understanding the structure of the business. Am I working for one person, or is there a team of people? And like you said, the meetings are really important too, because I find, and I think this is very important, that when you have social media clients, you do need to build in a weekly or monthly check-in. Hugely important. And, at TechPixes, we have weekly check-ins with everyone on our team. Even if I'm only meeting with a certain number of people, then those people are meeting with a certain number of people, but everyone has a weekly check-in, and it's like, okay, what happened last week? What's happening this week? And everyone's on the same page. I like the idea of a monthly one, for social media, because you can sort of plan a month in advance rather than, doing it every week. But those those are really good tips. And so people need to be thinking about that. Who's creating the imagery? Who's creating the copy? Who's loading it up into the social media networks? Who's doing the communication with the no comment left behind? Who's in charge of engagement, right? What are the expectations around weekend work as well? I think that's something that social media managers need to be talking about. What days are they working? What days are they? And I remember I learned that it was okay to say I'm available, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because I learned as well that if someone left a comment on a Tuesday, I could deal with it on a Wednesday, right? I could make sure that there was a 24-hour loop if I was working. And this is when I had like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I wanted to be with them a couple of days a week. So I think, but those are great things to think about. Did you learn in your early contracts how long things took to do and sort of track all of that? And then that made it easier later when you put together the pricing packages.
Yeah, and I think it evolves as well, because, like, for example, nowadays, when we first started, when I did the course, reels weren't a thing. And now you're having video is so huge. So now, originally, you're like, the difference between posting 3 posts a week, which is a professional photograph has been sent to you on an email, to creating reels or going live for your clients, or I think it's and I think it's not being afraid to have those conversations. Don't be so keen to kind of get your first clients and just take them on board that you don't ask and sort of think, well, this is going to take, creating reels is going to take this much time. So yeah, I think it evolves, and as also the platforms evolve as well. And actually for some of my clients, so I've sort of started to I've noticed as I've gone along, I've niched almost by accident, and all of my clients are with serving midlife women, which is a great, I am one, and it's a great marketplace to be in. So my other clients are a wonderful Botox nurse who is a local lady, women returners who and actually you put me forward for the job, Joy. They're a fantastic organisation who coach women back into their previous careers after a career break. But for them, I'm actually on I help across all of the platforms, and that's quite different as well, because thinking about what the different content needs are for Twitter and LinkedIn is very different to Facebook and Instagram, and that's why the TechPixie course there gave me that great grounding, because not everyone likes Twitter and LinkedIn. I think I know Beth does; she's fantastic on those kind of channels, but a lot of people stay away from them. So yeah, I think working all of that into your pricing as well is important.
Well, you make a great point, and that is also the number of networks you're on, the number of followers. One thing that we found, when I started working with ProViz, they had maybe 20,000 followers. When I finished working with ProViz, we had 50,000 followers. There's a big difference in the volume of customer service requests and the volume of, angry customers, happy customers, just communication in general. I mean, we would put up a Crufts post, to celebrate Crufts Week, and then put up pictures of dogs and say, okay, put in, the comments, picture of your dog, and we get hundreds of comments, right? And we would reply to all of them, no comment left behind. But that was building community. That was creating a community. And I think, as the networks grow, the comments grow, as the engagement grows, you've got to be there. You got to show up. I say all the time on the social media crash course, I say, if you text your friend a couple days in a row and they don't text you back, or a couple weeks in a row and they don't text you back, you just stop texting them. So it's the same thing with comments. If people don't reply to comments, they don't engage with you don't engage back, they're going to stop commenting. It's not, they don't get anything out of it. So it's about this, law of reciprocation, giving and receiving. And so I think you're totally right on about that. I mean, I think understanding the different networks you're working on, understanding the size of the account is also really important when you're trying to figure out your cost structure. I think the other thing that I would say, and you touched on it, for a long time we've debated, do we break up TechPixies and just sell the individual courses for the individual networks, or do we keep them together? And I've resisted it for so long, because I see the value of understanding the whole spectrum, so that when you're speaking to a client, or even when you're trying to decide for yourself where I should be, you look at the different networks and you say, okay, which type of customer does this network serve? Is it B2B, B2C? You look at, what's the value here? Is it breaking news? Is it search engine optimization? And you also look at, what do I like to do? Do I like sound? Do I like video? Do I like photos? Do I like blogging? And also, what does my customer like to engage with, right? And I think you're 100% right that, the traditional post with text, with, picture with text, is almost gone. It's still there. You can still get away with it, but it's not as powerful as that video connection. So you've made some incredible points there, and making sure that people are upskilling to learn how to use Reels and to learn how to use TikTok, et cetera, because the virality of them is much higher. It goes further.
They are starting to influence each other. Like, the Reels are influenced by TikTok. So actually there is even if you're not posting anything on TikTok for your clients, there's a real value in sitting and scrolling on TikTok, because that's actually where a lot of the real trends are originating. I'm doing Kirsty's fantastic a Rebuildogram. I'm doing her Reels workshop at the moment, and it's, you think there's so much to learn, but also I think very few social media managers would know on day one kind of exactly how they want their business to grow. And if you are going to scale your business as well, there's a real value in sort of understanding the high kind of breadth of social media, because you're going to be so they do influence each other. And I can see a real value, even for myself. I actually think that LinkedIn, for example, is a great platform for social media managers, and I don't think many use it as much as they could. Even I don't, and it's something I've got on my to-do list. Is so I think understanding the breadth of all of the platforms is really worthwhile.
Yeah, I think you're right about the LinkedIn being good for social media managers because it's a business to business network.
Yeah.
And social media managers work for businesses, right? So I think your client is a business. So you are totally 100% right there. So let's talk about the community, the network. So you have multiple clients, and one of your future plans is to potentially bring someone on to help you manage these clients, because there is a point. Actually, before we get to working with other tech pixies, let's actually touch on, there's a point when you have multiple clients that you have to get really organized. I remember having 5 or 6 clients and thinking, and for me, unlike you, I was doing different niches, which I also think was, when I talk about, I have a presentation called 10 social media mistakes. And one of the mistakes I made was I was doing social media for everyone. I was doing it for a charity, and I was doing it for, this and that. And so I had for sports gear and charities, and I had a real mix between what I was doing, which meant I had to learn those industries. You really have to learn the language of those industries in order to do it well. So I had to get organized, and I also had to separate the days so that I knew what days I was working on stuff. I had to keep client meetings on one day and then actually doing the work on another day. Have you had to get more organized? Have you had to create systems in order to serve multiple clients? And can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah. So it can become overwhelming. I think that's, you do need to find ways to sort of manage the overwhelm. And I use Trello for sort of planning, and I do like to have posts. So I like to have like a sort of 3-month plan, if possible, and then kind of I might only be creating content 1 or 2 weeks in advance if I'm on track. But I do like to have. I think it's better to have a longer term plan with, even if just sort of headline what you're going to have in there. So you're not just creating posts like the night before. That's, you never want to get to that point. The value in having a niche is actually your products can, or your clients can almost complement each other. So for example, I have a few clients who I talk about the menopause, and actually I now know a lot about the menopause, and I'm not writing the same copy for them. But for example, in October, it's Menopause Awareness Month, and I can kind of, so there is a real benefit to kind of having a niche. But I think either way, you need to be planning. And also sometimes I do like to batch create if I can. So I think that's the other thing. Once I'm kind of on a roll with either writing copy or the thing I love doing is I would meet a client for a day and create all the reels. So they change their top. We kind of pretend that it's not all created on one day, but actually there's a lot of time efficiency in just meeting up once, setting up your tripod, getting the ring light, having a sunny day, and just kind of blitzing through it. And then you've got a bank of content. It's so much more efficient. So I think sort of working out those efficiencies and the ways that you work. And the other thing is I bought a Peloton bike. So so my exercise, so if I'm waiting for a client to reply, or I don't have time to go to the gym, but I love exercising. So if I'm waiting for someone to reply or whatever, I can jump on my Peloton bike.
I love it.
That has changed my and it's great because I often then get some more ideas.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have my best ideas when I go for runs, when I get on the, erg, when I, and actually it was really interesting. I was reflecting the other day on my knee went out in October of 2021 when I was training for the London Marathon. I couldn't run it. And for 5 months, I wasn't able to do, even walking was challenging. Like my knee hurt walking. So it was it was a level of change in my life I hadn't experienced in decades, because I'm always an active person. And in fact, I was just on this athlete alliance. We created this athlete alliance mastermind with a bunch of people who are trained with life mastery consulting, et cetera. And we had to put together all the sports that we did. And I was like, I started with basketball, and then I did swimming, and then I was a rower, and then I did archery, and then I did triathlon and Ironman and marathon. And I was like, and I like skiing, and now I'm a football coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, sport is so much part of me, and I hadn't really realized it.
Yeah.
So to lose that for 5 months was massive. And actually it corresponded with probably the 5 trickiest months of the business as well, because I didn't have the thinking space that I normally had. I mean, I had 4 to 7 hours of thinking space with the running and listening to ideas and podcasts and everything, and listening to audiobooks. And for those 5 months, it sort of dried up. And I realized on reflection how critical that was. So you are 100% right. Exercise stimulates ideas. You'll come back from a run, or you'll get off the Peloton, and you'll be like, oh, that idea and that idea. And it kicks things off. I love that. That's such a great point.
So I think it's that combination of planning and then giving yourself, I think we were going to touch on, I've just started working for a TechPixie, Louise Demetrio, and she has done her neurocoach training. And actually, I love a lot of what she already working with her. She's teaching me about mindset, and just before this, she messaged me to say good luck, and I was like, oh, thank you. I said, oh, I'm a bit nervous, and she said, just remember that being nervous and being excited are the same feeling. So you're excited. And I was like, oh, but that mindset piece, which is something we did with TechPixes, I think that is important, because it can be an overwhelm working in social media. There's a lot of information, a lot of competition, and actually learning what tools work for you. It might not be Peloton, it might be going for a walk or a cup of tea, but I think actually that's just as important as all of those other things. Actually getting your rituals or whatever it works for you in place. I love hearing that stuff from Louise, because it's just so positive, and that kind of that's is a great way to start.
Well, that's a great point to land on, because we're seeing this happen a lot. So we have a lot of tech pixies who understand the value of social media, but they've launched a business in something totally different, like Louise. So she's master neuro coach, just like I am. She trained with Dr. Shannon, and now she wants to use those tools, but she wants to focus on that, and she wants to bring someone in who loves social media. She understands the value of it, but she wants to bring someone in who can help her do that. Kirsty Raper, she put into the Facebook group, a year ago, I'm looking for someone to do an internship for me. She ended up hiring that person. That person is doing a brilliant job. Yeah. We have a lot of tech pixies who will hire tech pixies, or who will work with tech pixies, because number one, the mindset shift has already happened. You don't have to, so many times the hardest part of working with clients is that they haven't made the mindset shift you have made. And so, you get onto calls with them and everything's impossible and everything's hard. And, and we've all made this shift that, well, what if it was easy? What if it was possible? What would that be like? What would we do? And we all think from a different place, and we're getting ourselves to that different place. And I do think that there is super value in, number one, what you're getting if you hire a tech pixie. I mean, I had yesterday at my house, this being filmed on the 23rd of March, so you might be listening to this on another date, but I had yesterday at my house 2 tech pixies who popped by with flowers to tell me about their new jobs. And they're alumni as well. But the thing that I love about it is that they were so excited about their jobs. They were so excited about what they were doing. One of them applied for a job that she went for, that another tech pixie went for. A tech pixie got it, so she didn't get it. That tech pixie then sent her all these ideas for other jobs, and the job she happened to send her was the one she ended up getting. Right. And so that was that situation. And then the other one, similar to you, I got an email that said, we want to hire a tech pixie. Like, very specifically, we're looking for a tech pixie, because they had the experience with tech pixies, right? And they understood that we have not just the skills, but the mindset shift. And so I did the same thing. I connected them and, she went for it. And she was telling me the story yesterday. And I said, we got to get you on the podcast to talk about how you negotiated this job, how you got this job, because it's so important for people to really understand their value. Because there was a point in the conversation that this one TechPixie had with the potential employer, which was where the employer said, I have to say, you're more expensive than the other person. Right. And she knew in the back of her mind, I've got other skills. I've got PR skills. I've got da, da, da. And so she said, well, I could throw some PR in for you. Right. And was able to negotiate the right kind of contract for her that she valued and that they valued, and was able to, she didn't miss out because she had the more expensive contract. Right.
Yeah.
So but this is what I love. I love hearing these stories. I love hearing people going for their dreams, having them come to fruition. I love seeing TechPixies work together. It's like, makes my heart sing. But Maria, I am so proud of you. If you think back to that phone call on the Friday.
I didn't even think I was going to become, I didn't even know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. Actually, if that is the shift, because I didn't think I'm going to do this course and become a social media manager. I'm going to launch a business. I truly, I'd had some years out. I needed, I had a lot of experience, but was, I definitely did not expect that I would have a number of clients, and also be earning a really good salary, because, actually it's important. You're not doing it for, I've got 3 children, I've kind of, you're not doing it just as a hobby. And it's good to, so thanks to you, Joy, because and the TechPixie community, I still talk to my TechPixie girls every single day. And in fact, yesterday I messaged them. I was like, "We're all quiet. Where are you?"
Well, you're right. It's actually, and the coaching team. We have an incredible coaching team.
Brilliant.
We have an incredible back office support. I mean, that's the thing I've really focused on the last few years, is building out a team so that it's not all reliant on me. But also, I want to just flip that on its head and just say, you did the work. You showed up. You went to the coaching calls. You watched the lessons. You applied the lessons, and that's why I said on the social media crash course, guess what, guys? You show up, you do the work, you get the results, because we've created a system that if you participate fully, you will get the results. And I was, one of the things I say in the crash course is, what we believe you can do, and you can just tell me if you think this is true or not, but what we believe you can do is, with these skills, on a minimum level, you can earn 1,000 up to 3,000, possibly more, but between 1,000 and 3,000 a month. Once you've got your skills, you multiply that by a year, that's 12,000 to 36,000. You multiply that by 10 years, you've just added 120 to 360,000 to your family's finances. That's what we call becoming financially independent. Do you believe that that is a true and accurate statement of someone who leans in?
Yeah, I think that's completely achievable. Absolutely. And I also think there's, it's a great time to be in social media, like the world we've had some terrible things happen, but, the world has become, it is the future and here to stay. So, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for women. And yeah.
Well, I love it. And I love that you came on today. I just want to acknowledge some of our live listeners. Hey, Nikki, thanks for listening.
Hi, Nikki.
And then Yvonne says, just to wrap it up on that final point, yes, know your niche. Otherwise, it becomes too overwhelming. And I think that was a real top tip from you, Maria, and actually kind of creating multiple accounts that have a similar language, similar demographic, because you really get to understand that, and it speeds everything up and synchronizes things as well.
Definitely. Thank you, Joy.
Any last words of advice or wisdom from you?
Oh, no. Good luck. Yeah. Be a tech pixie.
All right. Thank you, Maria. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joy. See you soon.